Hello Capricorn, my name is Keith Haswell and I'm a professional astrologer with over 40 years experience in the business and as a teacher of astrology as well, and I've got 30,000 clients worldwide. It's my pleasure to welcome you Capricorn to this video of your cycles for July and August 2014. So you just sit back and relax now Capricorn and enjoy the journey with me. Now I'm going to first of all tell you a few things about yourself. You're a very psychic person, Capricorn, very underrated by most people. You seem to be very practical and down to earth, but deep down you're a softie. And I'll tell you a few things about yourself and about your lifetime conditions and events in your life, Capricorn, so that you get an idea from that of what type of conditions that you've set for yourself in this incarnation and what qualities, principles and values that you're out to develop within yourself through this life. And then I'm going to look at the slower moving bodies, the movement of Saturn and Jupiter through the houses of your horoscope. Saturn's very slow moving. And then I'm going to look at the faster moving bodies, which are the Sun, Mercury, Venus and Mars. And I'll lay all of that out on a timeline for you on a week-by-week basis over the 2-month period. So you just enjoy the journey here with me, Capricorn. Now, first of all, I'm just going to tell you a few things about the nature of reality and your place in that reality. You have been in incarnation for 90,000 years minimum. All of us are at least 90,000 years old. And we've all lived hundreds of lifetimes, Capricorn. You don't remember your past lifetimes because it wouldn't be wise to have a memory of all the negative things that you've done. It's bad enough to remember the things that you've done in this lifetime, let alone all of your lifetimes. So naturally you come in with a clean memory each lifetime and a clean subconscious mind. And you're in life for a specific purpose, and that purpose is consciousness expansion. So the name of the game, Capricorn, is consciousness expansion. And how you do that is by coming into incarnation in a space-time rule set that we know as our Earth. And that space-time rule set is a place where you can grow and reach and stretch and develop certain qualities, principles and values within yourself over a period of hundreds of lifetimes, and eventually to reach a level of relative perfection where you can move on into higher dimensions of consciousness beyond the human level altogether. Now, all of us are not perfect, otherwise we wouldn't be here. So we're all still working on finding out how to find our way into deeper and more complex levels of consciousness. And we're given 2 gifts by God and Goddess. They've given you, first of all, Capricorn, the gift of eternal life. You can never ever die. That is a beautiful gift when you think about it. Death is simply a gateway into a place where you can reflect upon what you've learned from that particular lifetime. And then you have a rest period, and then you come back into life, sometimes male, sometimes female. And each life that you come back in, you pick up where you left off in your last life. You set yourself certain tasks and certain qualities, principles and values that you want to develop within yourself in each lifetime. And you're more conscious now than what you were in your last lifetime, Capricorn. The other gift that God and Goddess have given us is the gift to consciously create our reality in accordance and compliance with our conscious choice. Now, most of us, Capricorn, don't want to take that responsibility primarily because of the fact that we're not happy with the events and conditions in our life. We've had problems with money and problems with our health and difficulties in methods of communication and problems with family and difficulties with romance and love and social activities and problems with jobs and health and relationships and so forth. So we want to be able to say, well, look, I'm obviously not responsible for this. Who can I blame for this? And mum and dad are the first ones that we tend to point the finger of blame. They're the ones who did it to me. Mum didn't love me good enough. Dad didn't treat me right. And so they're the ones to blame for my predicament in life. Or that ex-boss who fired me, or that offender, or that ex-spouse of mine who had cheated on me and treated me badly. And they're the ones to blame for my predicament in life. And so you stick by that particular methodology of mental constriction. And what happens there, Capricorn, is that by doing that and saying that they're the ones responsible for my predicament in life, and they're the ones responsible for me not being able to hold down a job and not being able to hold down a relationship, and that's why I feel unlovable, and that's why I feel that relationships never work out for me, and life is a financial struggle for me, and so on and so forth. And so we want to be able to say they're the ones to blame for my predicament. But what happens in that methodology is that we've got to hold ourselves in that state of limited consciousness, Capricorn. Otherwise we let them off the hook. If we're having fun with our money and doing well in life and family and domestic matters and love matters and job matters and health and happiness and relationships and so forth, well then we can no longer point the finger of blame at them. So subconsciously we seek therefore to fail and to keep ourselves in that limited state so we can continue to point the finger, so we continue to hold them on the hook. So God and Goddess have given us certain gifts, and those gifts are our raw materials. And every single event and condition in your life, Capricorn, is being created by you. It doesn't matter what your circumstances were in the past or what's transpired, you're the one who created that sort of circumstances because it was the perfect environment for you to grow and reach and stretch and take your next step forward in the expansion of your consciousness. That's the name of the game, is consciousness expansion. So they've given us these raw materials, which are our attitudes, our beliefs, our thoughts and our feelings. And those attitudes, beliefs, thoughts and feelings sponsor decisions and choices. And sometimes those decisions and choices are not in our own best interests, Capricorn, because they're sponsored by attitudes and beliefs that we don't deserve, that we're not lovable, that will never amount to anything, that life is a financial struggle for me, relationships don't work out for me, I'm a lowlife, we're full of guilt and shame and fear and anxiety and doubt and insecurities and so forth. Look, we punish ourselves something awful. And we've got all of these negative attitudes and beliefs, and we have 50,000 thoughts a day, Capricorn. 50,000 thoughts a day, and a lot of them are very repetitive. And when we repeat these thoughts over a long period of time, they become very powerful thought forms living in our aura. And these thought forms are there ready to pluck and become an event and condition in your life. Every single event and condition is a result of a thought form. Every single one of them. But most of the times it's subconscious. Subconscious attitudes, beliefs and thoughts and feelings. And we harbour these negativities there within ourselves, and we're creating these negative thought forms, Capricorn, which are being precipitated into events and conditions in our life by the movements of the planets through the houses of our horoscope. They move through the houses of our horoscope and activate these thought forms, which precipitate into events and conditions when they're ready to pluck, when they're ripe for plucking, like a piece of fruit. And we've got 3 tools that God and Goddess have given us. Nobody's got any different tools. The billionaire and the pauper have got the same tools when it comes to making money. And those tools are our desire, imagination and expectancy, Capricorn. What do we desire to happen? What do we expect to happen? And what do we imagine is going to happen? Well, if our mind is predominantly along these negative lines of thinking, what do you think we're going to imagine is going to happen in our life? If we're full of hate and aggression, and we want to get back at someone and keep somebody on the hook for my life as a failure, and they're the ones to blame, well, what are we desiring to bring about in our life, Capricorn? So this is the thing that I'm trying to communicate to you, is that your reality is being created by you and you alone. And it's time now for you to be able to change those raw materials. And this is what God and Goddess have given us. They've given us the gift of, instead of creating it all subconsciously through our raw materials, and the subconscious mind doesn't have choice, God and Goddess have given us the power of choice. Conscious choice is the most powerful force in the universe. And we have the power to be able to change the direction of our thinking processes away from these predominant lines of thinking and feeling, and our attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings that are there as our raw materials, and to change them into more positive and constructive attitudes, beliefs and thoughts and feelings. And we've all got these addictions too. Addictions to food that's not good for us, addictions to sex, addictions to overdoing it on the social side of life, addictions to alcohol, addictions to cigarettes, addictions to drugs, and so on and so forth. The things we do to ourselves, Capricorn, is staggering. And we wonder why we've got ill health, and we wonder why we can't hold down a job, and we wonder why we have crises financially, and we wonder why we have breakups in relationships. So the object of the exercise is to expand your understanding about what, you might say, about the nature of reality and your place in that reality. And so I won't talk any longer now about along those particular lines. I'll tell you now a few things about yourself, and then I'll wrap up with a little bit of more information for you at the end of it all. Now you, Capricorn, are a very practical person, ambitious, keen to get ahead in life and succeed. You can take on responsibilities early in life, but you can be your own worst enemy, and you can suffer from depression. You're all the time wanting to control the energies that are going through your body. You're ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is the taskmaster that makes sure that all of us are using energy and time wisely. These energies come to us from the sun, from the earth, and from the planets, and they go through our chakras. We've got these 7 chakras in our body, the 7 main chakras in our body, and they are distributing energy, and we're expressing these energies, and we live under the law of economy, and that's ruled by Saturn, the law of economy that states that we must use all energy and time wisely and economically and harmoniously with our environment. Any breaking of that law must see a corresponding adjustment to our consciousness of an awareness of that misuse of energy. And this is what the law of cause and effect is all about. So you're Capricorn, you're ruled by Saturn, very practical and down to earth. Now your finances, you like to earn money through unusual means, stock markets and computer work and all sorts of things like that, scientific things and so forth. You're very psychic, Capricorn, very sensitive, easily affected by the moods of those around you. You're strongly attracted towards the water. You love walking around near the water and driving around near the water. You have a lot of secret worries about relatives. There's relatives who have problems with drugs and alcohol, and there's quite a lot of secrets there within the neighbourhood and amongst relatives and so forth about naughty things that everybody's done and so on and so forth. So you can have a motor vehicle stolen at some time in your life. Now you're a dominant person in the home, and that's something that you've got to work on, because you can be manipulating and controlling and dominating, and so therefore there can be a lot of stress and tension around the home. There's potential for accidents in the home, fire and boiling water and things like that are a danger. One of your parents wore a uniform in their job, or a dust coat or overalls. There's a lot of stress and tension there to do with family matters and domestic matters and property matters and matters relating to parents. You can be rather possessive in relationships and with your children. Any children in your life, you can be very possessive of them and demanding of their time and their loyalty and stuff like that. You love going out to restaurants and places of amusement, and you love rich food, Capricorn. So you can get tied in with too much cholesterol and so on and so forth. And you have many changes as far as your work is concerned. You could do a driving job or a job where you're communicating, and a sales job and things like that. And many different changes in your job. And you seem to marry somebody who's a very domesticated person, very family-oriented person. So that just does as far as that's concerned. You live near a main thoroughfare at some time in life too, where there's a passing parade, and you got the public going past and everything, and you can sit there and watch the public going past. Now, I'm going to tell you now about your cycles for your Capricorn, what's coming up for you in the months of July and August. And we'll first of all look at Saturn in your horoscope. Now, Saturn currently is in the 11th house of your horoscope, Capricorn, so you've got poor circulation in the lower part of the legs currently, and for the last 12 months that's been going on. You've had problems with friends, maybe illness of a friend or death of a friend in the last 12 months. And there's been a lot of frustrations with regard to club activities and group social functions and things like that. Unhappiness through friends in the last couple of years. They've let you down or deceived you or something like that. Now Saturn is in a retrograde motion at the moment on the 1st of July, and with Saturn being retrograde, it means that you've also had a bit of ill health recently yourself, and you've had a lot of frustrations with regard to money matters too, Capricorn, with Saturn impacting upon the second house of your horoscope. On the 21st of July, Saturn starts going direct again, and so that influence will drop off, but you'll still have problems over the following 6 months or more to do with friends and frustrations with regard to club activities and group social functions and so forth. Jupiter takes 12 months, Capricorn, to transit through a particular house of our horoscope, and it's always a very beneficial and expansive influence in our life. And you've got Jupiter in the 7th house of your horoscope on the 1st of July. When Jupiter is in the 7th house of your horoscope, as it has been for the last 12 months, there's been a lot of happiness in your marriage or relationships, should there be one in your life. And there's been perhaps a journey overseas with your partner, or a journey interstate or something like that. And if you've got a second child in particular, that child could have had some fantastic things happening in their life in the last 12 months. They could have gone for a distant journey, for example. Now on the 17th of July, Jupiter moves into the 8th house of your horoscope, Capricorn. And when Jupiter is in the 8th house of your horoscope and it remains there for 12 months, you have a tremendous urge to expand your understanding about the mysteries of life. Life after death and related subjects. You'll have an innate urge within yourself to make adjustments and changes within yourself through introspection and reflection. And there can be money coming to you through your partner, and there can be money coming to you from unusual sources, or a deceased estate or something like that in the following 12 months. Now I'm going to look at the faster moving bodies, the Sun, Mercury, Venus and Mars, and what I'll do is I'll tell you where they are on the 1st of July, Capricorn, and then I'll tell you whether any changes that they make after that in this 2-month period, okay? So the conditions that I portray for you from the 1st of July will prevail until such time as I tell you about a change of that body into a different house of your horoscope. Now you've got the Sun in the 7th house of your horoscope, so there's a lot more dealings with your partner or your spouse, a lot more dealings with the general public with the Sun in the 7th house of your horoscope. So there'll be a lot more social activities, Capricorn, with your partner in this period, and a lot more social activities revolving around the general public. Now Mercury and Venus are both in the 6th house of your horoscope to start the month off from the 1st of July. With Mercury in the 6th house, there's a lot more communication with people that you work with. And with Venus in the 6th house, there'll be a lot more social involvements with people that you work with. Mars is in the 10th house of your horoscope to start off with, so there can be a lot of stresses and tensions at the beginning of the month for the first 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, with government departments, parents, accidents involving parents, sickness involving parents, with fevers and things like that, problems with your knees, pains in the knees, and there's potential for conflicts and so forth with people that you're in business with or that you have a career with. Can be conflicts with superiors in the job, so be very careful there. Now on the 14th of July, the first change that we have is with Mercury moving into the 7th house of your horoscope. That begins a cycle of more communication with the general public and more communication with your spouse or partner. On the 19th of July, Venus moves into the 7th house, so that begins a beautiful cycle of 2 or 3 weeks with your partner socially, and a lot more love there for your partner. It's a good time for you to strengthen partnerships and so forth, and to get out and mix socially with the general public will be an urge within yourself. So you'll have a strong urge to get out with into restaurants and places of amusement, shopping malls and things like that. Then on the 23rd of July, Capricorn, the Sun moves into the 8th house of your horoscope, beginning a period of a month that will see a focus upon joint finances that you share with your partner, and there's also a strong focus upon introspection and reflection, transformation and change going on within yourself. Then on the 27th of July, Mars moves into the 11th house of your horoscope, beginning a 2 or 3 week period of tension and conflicts through friends, accidents involving friends, arguments with friends. Group social functions can bring arguments and conflicts, and accidents involving other people's children. Then on the 11th of August, Capricorn, Mercury moves into the 8th house of your horoscope, beginning a period of introspection and reflection upon the mysteries of life and trying to make changes there within yourself through that introspection and reflection. Then on the 13th of August, Venus moves into the 8th house of your horoscope, improving finances through your partner, and there's a great deal of love for the mysteries of life too, a heightening of your sex drive. Then on the 16th of August, Mercury moves into the 9th house of your horoscope, beginning a 2 or 3 week period where you'll have a tremendous urge to expand your understanding to new horizons through adult education or through travel, and a lot more in dealings and communications with in-laws, should they play a prominent part in your life. The last one that we come to there, Capricorn, is the 24th of August. The Sun moves into the 9th house of your horoscope. That begins a month of concentration upon social involvements with relatives on your spouse's side. Philosophy, distant travel, adult education, expansion and growth is the name of the game during that following month. And that's as far as I go for you, Capricorn. Now, where do you go from here? Well, I'm happy to do your horoscope chart for you free of charge. And by submitting your birth details through the Your Horoscope page of my website, www.mysteryofsirius.com, then I'll do your horoscope chart for you and send it to you, and then you'll know what your rising sign is. That's the sign that's on the eastern horizon at the time of your first breath, and that's a very important point there on the eastern horizon at the time that you take your first breath. And that tells you a lot more about yourself and about the test that you've set for yourself in this incarnation. So I'm happy to send you that chart and to send you all of my videos as well. I've done 125 videos in the last 18 months on all aspects of personal growth and spiritual growth, and I'll send you the link to all of them once you submit your birth details. And I'll also send you 12 CDs out of my first book, What Really Matters. That's a book on astrology, meditation and reincarnation. And everybody loves the material that's in those 12 CDs. They say, look, Keith, this is just such beautiful material and explained in such terminology that I can relate to and understand. So it's not a lot of highfalutin stuff, you know. So I'm happy to send you those 12 CDs free of charge that you can download into your computer or your storage device, your iPod or whatever, and play them as often as you want to, or play them to grow and reach and stretch to become more of who you really are. That's the name of the game, is consciousness expansion, Capricorn? And there's also horoscope number 2, which for only $10, I'll give you a 20-page printout of all about you and you alone, not just your sun sign or your rising sign. I tell you where all of your planets are, the 10 of them: Sun, Mercury, Venus, the Moon, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Where all of them are, they are all important points in your life, and they fulfill certain functions within your personality and your life. And I'll tell you where all of them are, what signs that they're in, what houses that they're in, and what relationship that they form with each other. And that tells you what sort of qualities, principles and values that you're in the process of developing in this incarnation. Capricorn, make no bones about it, you are in a spiritual classroom here in this space-time rule set. And the name of the game, Capricorn, is the development of wisdom. Now, you never will wisdom just through experience. And you never will develop wisdom just through an intake of knowledge. It's a combination of experience, and you've had a lot of that, and a lot of that is not very happy. And it's a combination of experience and an intake of knowledge, and out of it synergistically comes a whole that is greater than the sum of the parts. And that whole is wisdom. So I invite you to submit your birth details, get your horoscope number 1 done free of charge, and I'll send you all those CDs and all the videos and everything, and then you can reach and stretch and grow as fast as you want to grow with me. And then if you want to get stuck into my intensives, beyond the intensive number 1, there's intensive 2 and 3 out of my deeper book, Coming Home: An Eternal Journey, where you can learn more about the nature of reality and your place in that reality, and learn that you have a piece of God and Goddess there inside of yourself that gives you eternal life. And you have all of the properties, all of the qualities, and all of the powers of God and Goddess inside of yourself now. Your task, Capricorn, is to recognize that fact and unfold those powers. And that, Capricorn, is an eternal journey. So my second book, Coming Home: An Eternal Journey, you never get home. You're always coming home. You're always becoming more of who you really are. So you're in this space-time rule set. You're signed up to a number of lifetimes until you reach a level of relative perfection. You might as well learn what it's all about. You might as well make the most of it and turn those raw materials into positive raw materials, into attitudes and beliefs and thoughts and feelings that are constructive and positive, and they'll bring about different events and conditions in your life, because make no mistake about it, every single condition and event in your life is a result of those raw materials. And you have the power of conscious choice to redirect the power of the mind. There's a law in the universe, Capricorn, that says that energy follows thought. And so if you're directing your thoughts upon these repetitive patterns of thought and feeling, attitudes and beliefs and so forth that are negative, what sort of conditions and events do you expect to experience in your life? So you've got the power of choice now. And that's why you've brought yourself to my website, to take the next step forward in the expansion of your consciousness. So I thank you for your attentiveness here, Capricorn. I look forward to working further with you should you decide to take the next step. Thank you.